Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a truly fascinating piece of writing that just absolutely nails the hilarious realities of a long-term relationship. We're looking at a case study of a husband's solo hiking trip to Mount Jinba. But, what makes this so incredibly compelling isn't the hike itself. No, it's the brilliant psychological breakdown his wife gives when he walks back through the door. It's literally a masterclass in observation, showing us exactly how we decode the people we love the most.
So have you ever found yourself in this exact position? You're sitting there listening to your partner tell a story and internally, you're just shaking your head at how utterly ridiculous they are. But at the exact same time, your heart is just swelling with affection, right? Well, that specific emotional space is exactly where our narrator, the wife, is living. Let's step right into her shoes and analyze her husband's amazingly contradictory return home.
Section 1. The contradiction of digital detox.
Okay, let's dive into this. The husband returns, he's completely satisfied with his day, and proudly declares to his wife that he has successfully completed a digital detox. But wait, let's think about the literal definition of a digital detox for a second. It's all about removing excess digital input, right? Unplugging. Well, his reality? During this supposed detox, he was actively recording audio files, snapping photos left and right, and closely monitoring his phone's satellite signals. His actions completely 100% contradict his own claim.
But you see, he's just overflowing with this pure, energetic enthusiasm. He proudly presents this massive digital hoard to his wife, explaining in meticulous detail how he captured the sounds of the birds and the beauty of the plants. The funny thing is, he possesses absolutely zero self-awareness about the deep irony here, using a digital device to document his grand escape from digital devices. It's just classic.
And honestly, here is where the dynamic gets absolutely brilliant. The wife? She doesn't burst his bubble. Not at all. She just calmly pours him a cup of tea, smiles, and delivers this incredibly dry, deadpan internal retort. Digital hasn't decreased. It's actually increased. She just becomes this silent observer, letting his contradictions play out while keeping her incredibly sharp psychological analysis entirely to herself.
Moving on to Section 2. The wife's calm internal retorts.
All right, let's look at Exhibit A. The husband starts recounting the scenes from the mountain peak. He mentions seeing these big groups of students having picnics, specifically doing aimonikai, which are those traditional outdoor potato stews. And as he's telling this, he lets out this wistful, nostalgic sigh, telling his wife how jealous he was seeing them all having fun. This right here brilliantly illustrates the very human contradiction the wife is quietly observing. Internally, she cuts straight to the logical core. She realizes he's not actually jealous of the stew, right? He's jealous of youth itself. She's sitting there thinking, well, if you want to go so badly, just invite your own friends. But she knows he won't. Why? Because he finds organizing things way too bothersome. He chooses to be lazy, yet he's still completely envious of those who aren't. It is such a remarkably perceptive, slightly exasperated read on his character.
Okay, now for Exhibit B, which is just genuinely hilarious. The husband describes passing a couple on the hiking trail. The guy in front is cheerfully chattering away about how great the mountain feels, but the woman trailing behind him, she looks absolutely miserable. She's giving off a major "why on earth did you bring me here" vibe. So the husband then proudly tells his wife that he had a silent, facial conversation with this annoyed stranger, giving her a passing look that said, "I can't support you either." The wife's internal exasperation absolutely peaks here. Her immediate thought is, you shouldn't be communicating via faces with strange women on a mountain. I mean, it's highly inappropriate and just completely absurd. And yet, wrapped up in all this exasperation is this tiny, undeniable kernel of amazement. She has to admit to herself that his ability to accurately read and respond to nuanced facial expressions on the fly is a surprisingly high-performance skill for him to be deploying out in the woods.
Which brings us to Section 3. The boyish heart drawn by mountains.
Let's just walk through the pure mental gymnastics of this next story, because it's a wild ride. He tells her about politely passing two older women on a narrow path, standard hiking etiquette. But then, because he's supposedly on this big digital detox, he stops. He records some audio, takes some photos, takes a rest, and eventually he realizes those exact same two grandmas have steadily walked right past him. Now, a normal adult might feel a bit sheepish about that. Not him. No way. He excitedly declares to his wife, "I'm the hare. It's exactly like the tortoise and the hare." He is literally proud that he gets to be the hare who took a nap.
This leads the wife to a truly fascinating psychological realization. You see,
Instead of feeling embarrassed about being passed, he elevates the whole situation to the level of a classic fairy tale. She's thinking, do mountains turn people back into children? She realizes her husband isn't even operating with adult logic right now. He has completely reverted to a state of pure boyish innocence. And frankly, she finds it utterly ridiculous, yet deeply, deeply endearing.
Section 4. The exquisite blend of exasperation and affection.
So here is the absolutely crucial point of this entire relationship dynamic. In Japanese, there's a specific blend of akire, which is a sort of exasperated dismay, and aijo, deep affection. This isn't just a story about a wife being annoyed with her husband. Not at all. It's a vivid illustration of a marital dynamic where profound love actually thrives on these exact moments. Deep connection isn't always found in perfect alignment or shared hobbies. A lot of times, it's found in her quiet, highly entertained acceptance of his amusing, very human contradictions.
And just to really hammer home those contradictions, he delivers his final statement on his grand digital detox. He excitedly reports that his iPhone showed a satellite icon proving he was connected the whole time. And then he speculates that soon they'll be able to use AI on their smartphones for bear countermeasures out on the mountain. Boom, the final nail in the coffin. He has completely and utterly missed the point of his own trip. The digital detox was a total failure.
Section 5. What was truly detoxed? But here, the wife's observational case study comes to a really beautiful emotional synthesis. She hones in on one specific concept, the armor of daily life. In Japanese, Nichijou no Yoroi. She looks at her husband, who has been pushed around by nature, distracted by student picnics, outpaced by grandmas, and engaged in silent facial warfare with strangers, and she realizes something profoundly true.
What he shed on that mountain wasn't his smartphone at all. Sure, he failed the digital detox, but what he successfully shed was that heavy armor of everyday life. He left behind the stress, the professional obligations, the adult ego, and he returned home as his true, unvarnished, boyish self. The mountain didn't detox his devices, it detoxed his soul. And as a wife, observing all this, she is more than happy to pour him another cup of tea and just listen to him completely misunderstand his own experience simply because she gets to see him entirely at peace.
It's just a wonderful perspective on love and partnership, isn't it? It reminds us that sometimes the absolute most affectionate thing we can do is just quietly observe the people we love in all their contradictory glory. So I'll leave you with this thought as we wrap up today. Take a look at the people closest to you. When they walk through the door tonight, what kind of fairy tale are they bringing home? And are you ready to listen with that perfect blend of exasperation and love?